Okay, let's check it out, guys. This is in the northwest, over in the west, so there's nothing in the sky over that way. But over here, what was just one little line a while ago is forming, and from objects that are creating it, none of this are chemtrails. They just keep appearing, starting to get bigger and bigger by basically each passing minute. And that's in the southwest, so you can see, look at it, starting to form. And this, like I said, is not a chemtrail. It's getting, like, literally every passing minute, it's getting thicker and longer as this thing, as I've seen many times, and I've shown it a number of times, it's getting thicker, longer, and wider. So there's where it's starting to get wider right there. All of it is, but that's where it's the widest that it's showing as of now. Now, what is this thing? I don't know. It's not, it needs to be paid attention to, I'll say that. There's several different formations within the system of dragons, or two, I think there's two at least, but, and then this, and this is the big one that I think a lot of people, when they see it, when it's like fully formed, so to speak, in other words, like it's doing right now, forming, then that's the one that I think a lot of people call it a ship, actually. But, I'm just saying, that's what this will, this is going to end up, this is the same thing that, in essence, is which we've seen, like, right on the horizon many times, that mostly everyone thinks are chemtrails, I guess, is this right here. Just know that it is, for several different reasons. Well, now, look closely, starting to see now things coming out from it. You look closely right there, going off to the left, and you see two trails coming up from it. And these are created by objects that no one is seeing, by the way, being that they match the color of the sky, and I believe I'm starting to see one there, but when I see the trails define, because the trails very often define where the objects are. In other words, will tell you where it's at if you know what to look for. But regardless of that, so you see, and I guess I need to keep reestablishing the point that obviously none of this is chemtrails. There isn't a single plane anywhere. If there is one, and they lay one somewhere, which they very well might, they might come out, and if they do, I would predict right now that they'll fly one exactly parallel, or somewhere near it, but parallel basically to this. If they do. And if they do, they'll probably wait a little while so it gets a little bigger, then come out and fly a couple. That's what they always do, the same kind of thing, continuing to deceive everyone. They just fly it and everyone thinks it's chemtrails when it isn't. But anyway, you're starting to see things appearing over here, and then like I said, trails coming up from it, like you see right there. And part of the reason that I'm doing this is a lot of times I've seen this numerous times, and I'll come out maybe, like, say right now, and I'll film, and then I won't really establish the whole time frame necessarily, because these things happen over a long period of time, and I know everyone doesn't want to watch a hour-long video, so I'll very often not show these kind of things. I'll just show the, the fine or whatever, the biggest part formation after it's already formed for like 2 hours or whatever, for example. Now over here, and this is over in the northeast part, and there's the rest of the trail. So, starting to join with this and form from other objects moving, leaving these trails. Okay, so you got that one that established itself first, basically, in essence, right? And then now you see on the top of this, and even furthermore, going this way, but right there, a triangle formation. This is all of a sudden appearing. Is of course with that one, and what will happen is objects moving, creating and leaving those trails too, moving in these patterns, like I always say, and they will create that triangle, and then probably another one, and then so forth and so on. Things on top of it, and they just keep, in other words, the objects create like a triangle, for instance, or whatever, and then more trails end up filling in, and then eventually, what you see is a single trail right here will start getting higher and higher and be a much bigger one. You know what I'm saying? That's how it works. In other words, so these things forming on top, that won't stay a triangle, is what I mean. But it's forming like that in the beginning part, in its beginning stages. And that'll keep happening all throughout. You can already see trails start, like I said a while ago, coming up right there on that part. And that will keep happening all throughout. You can kind of see it, some of it down that way. And this is the kind of things that I see that always happens. A lot of things that I never show, like I said, because for time's sake. Okay, so now you can kind of see what I'm getting at. So it's through those movements, now you see another main line, or main trail, coming up above this one. And what do you see overall? Look, as I show it here. Starting to look familiar. It should. See that? Starting to look like something very familiar, isn't it? See the other line on the top of it? Hope you guys get my point. It should be pretty clear in this video, I think, of what I'm trying. I mean, I've said these things many times, but I don't know that anyone or everyone has necessarily understood what I meant. So I'm trying to show you guys that right now. So see how it's starting to take that familiar. That's a familiar shape, isn't it? That we see what over there on the horizon, sometimes with other formations and so forth, or whatever's going on, whatever's passing over. And then you also see this. How many times? Lots of times, right? Now I'm showing it to you as it builds itself. Okay, so now this is about 20 minutes later. As you see, things are trailing off the top of the middle one there, like I said earlier, that all this would fill in, right? You see the bottom line on the bottom on there. You see how the middle one, which was the first one, has grown much, much larger. And the top one you kind of can't see real well, but it's filling in to make up that difference, obviously, all through there. It'll start through here and then it'll go that way. Maybe at the end of this, because I don't expect I'm going to see it like fully formed, obviously. In fact, I won't. But I can show you this. Look over here. You can see it's going to go from there. So it's not going actually to the straight southwest. It's curving over, to the southeast. It's actually curving over now over towards the southwest forming to the left. Those that we could barely see a while ago. See, so it's starting to do the same thing over there. Same thing that you saw right here will happen all the way through it. So that is all the way over there into the southwest, right there. From all the way over here to right there is the northeast. And then that's the north. So, and maybe, like I said, I'll put a couple of pictures of some other ones for those who don't know might not know what I'm talking about, of what this thing looks like after it's quote unquote formed, so to speak. I'll put maybe a couple of pictures from other videos that I have right after this, or as I end this one.